Welcome everyone to the For Sleep channel. Below is part 1 of your requested motivational story, The Journey Within, a tale of resilience and determination. This narrative, written in English with abundant, deliberate punctuation and thoughtful pauses, is the first installment of a story that in total spans roughly 10.000 words. Due to length constraints, I'm beginning with this opening segment. Please let me know when you're ready for the next part. The Journey Within, a tale of resilience and determination. Part 1, Prologue and Chapter 1, The Awakening. Prologue. In the quiet hours of a crisp, dewy morning, when the horizon brushed softly with hues of lavender and rose, whispered promises of a new beginning, there lay a small town, an unassuming canvas on which dreams, however fragile, were painted with strokes of hope, persistence, and quiet determination. The air, cool and laden with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers, carried with it the soft murmur of nature's secrets, as though each blade of grass and every ripple in a nearby stream were murmuring a lullaby of possibility, urging those who would listen to dare, to strive, and to believe. It was in this humble setting, where time seemed to slow, where each moment was savored like a precious, fleeting treasure, that our story takes root. Here, in a realm not marked by grandiosity or fanfare, but by the simple, enduring pulse of life. Hope was not an abstract notion, it was a living, breathing presence, woven into the fabric of every day. And so, with the gentle emergence of dawn, the stage was set for a journey of transformation. A journey that would carry its seeker through valleys of despair and over peaks of triumphant revelation. All in the pursuit of a truth as timeless as the stars and as delicate as the morning mist. Chapter 1, The Awakening. Alex, whose name echoed like a soft refrain in the corridors of memory, was born in this unpretentious town, a place where the streets, lined with ancient oak trees and whispering pines, bore witness to countless small miracles and quiet struggles alike. From childhood, Alex's heart beat with an unyielding rhythm, a cadence that spoke of dreams too vast to be contained by the ordinary, of ambitions that soared beyond the simple boundaries of everyday life. Even as a child, in moments of quiet solitude, Alex would sit by the window, gazing at the sky, wondering if the endless blue might one day carry the weight of dreams, or perhaps whisper secrets of a destiny yet unfulfilled. In those early days, life, with its gentle, yet persistent challenges, taught Alex the art of resilience. There were mornings when the sun, timidly peeking over the distant hills, seemed to cast more shadows than light, when the weight of the world, heavy, unyielding, and indifferent, pressed upon a tender, untested spirit. And yet, even in the midst of hardship, there was a spark, a delicate ember of hope, nurtured by every encouraging word from a loving parent, every kind smile from a neighbor, every soft murmur of the wind through the trees. It was as though the universe, in its infinite wisdom, had conspired to plant seeds of courage and determination deep within Alex's soul. As the years passed, each sunrise, each whispered prayer in the quiet of night, and each pause between the beating of a hopeful heart, wove a tapestry of experience, a mosaic of laughter and tears, setbacks and small victories, moments of quiet despair, and bursts of unanticipated joy. In these spaces between, where life's true essence dwelled, Alex began to understand that every challenge was not a punishment, but a lesson, a pause in the symphony of existence, marked by commas and ellipses, inviting reflection, urging one to rise, to persist, and to dream anew. On a particularly brisk autumn morning, when the trees, adorned in fiery shades of red, orange, and gold, swayed gracefully in the cool breeze, Alex felt an unfamiliar stirring, a call from deep within. Soft yet insistent, like the rhythmic tapping of distant rain on a window pane. It was as if the soul, which had long been quietly waiting in the background, now yearned to step into the light, to embrace the unknown, and to boldly proclaim that life, with all its twists and turns, was meant to be lived with fervor and conviction. That day, as the early sunlight filtered through the delicate lacework of branches, danced upon the worn wooden floor of a modest, yet cherished, family home, Alex made a silent promise, a promise to confront the uncertainty of tomorrow with a resolute heart, to find beauty in every struggle, and to listen, with unwavering attention, to the quiet murmur of possibility that beckoned from every corner of existence. The decision, seemingly small, yet monumental in its implications, was not born of a single, dramatic moment, but rather of countless, tiny revelations, a series of commas in the grand sentence of life. Each pause a precursor to a surge of determination. Each ellipsis hinting at an unfolding narrative of transformation. And so, with each new day, as the light grew steadily stronger and the shadows retreated before its brilliance, Alex stepped forward, hesitantly at first, then with increasing confidence, into a world brimming with opportunities, each one marked by its own delicate punctuation of pause and promise. It was in those quiet moments, where the heart listened intently to the soft, persistent beat of its own desires, that the true journey began, a journey not defined by the destination, but by the courage to move forward, one measured, hopeful step at a time. In the gentle cadence of life, punctuated by moments of introspection and bursts of inspiration, Alex discovered that every trial, every setback, was a comma in a larger, unfinished sentence, a sentence that held the promise of a triumphant conclusion, should one only dare to write it with sincerity, passion, and relentless determination. And so, with the promise of tomorrow shimmering on the horizon, Alex embraced the uncertainty, the beauty, and the boundless potential of the unknown, stepping into the unfolding narrative of life with an open heart and an unyielding resolve. As the first light of a new chapter began to break through the quiet monotony of everyday existence, a whisper of hope, soft and persistent, urged Alex onward, reminding the soul, in its quiet, measured pauses, that the journey within was as vast and mysterious as the universe itself, and that every breath, every moment of stillness, was an invitation to rise, to dream, and to create a legacy of resilience, determination, and enduring hope. Part 2, Chapter 2, The Call to Adventure and the Road Unfolding. In the days that followed that crisp autumn morning, when the world around Alex shimmered with the gentle promise of possibility, there came a moment, subtle, yet profound, when the ordinary began to yield to the extraordinary, as though a hidden door, long forgotten amid routine, had been quietly unlatched by a tender breeze of fate. On one such day, when the sky, painted in hues of soft grey and tender blue, bore silent witness to an inexplicable stirring deep within the heart, Alex sensed an urgent call to venture beyond the comforting confines of home, a beckoning from the unknown, wrapped in mystery and the promise of renewal. That very day, as delicate raindrops began their measured descent, each drop a note in a quiet symphony, and the soft patter against the pavement echoed like whispered secrets, Alex sought refuge in the sanctuary of a modest town library. Within those hallowed walls, where the musk of ancient pages mingled with the quiet hum of contemplation, a figure emerged whose presence exuded warmth and wisdom. Mr. Emerson, as he was known by the townspeople, had the air of a seasoned traveler through life's myriad landscapes. His eyes, kind and knowing, reflected the countless journeys he had witnessed and endured. In the soft glow of the library's lamplight, amidst the measured rustle of pages and the subdued murmur of distant voices, Mr. Emerson recognized in Alex a spark, a flicker of determination that defied the inertia of everyday life. With a voice as gentle as the fall of dusk, he spoke of life as a vast tapestry composed of moments and pauses, commas and ellipses, each serving as a deliberate pause before the next bold stroke of destiny. Life, Mr. Emerson intoned softly, his words deliberate and comforting, is not defined solely by its moments of brilliance but also by the quiet pauses that allow our inner strength to blossom. Each challenge, each setback, is but a comma, a moment to catch one's breath before writing the next sentence of your destiny. Embrace these pauses, for they are the gentle instructors that lead you to new beginnings. These words, rich with gentle assurance, reverberated deep within Alex's soul, awakening an inner resolve that had long lain dormant. The library, filled with the soft glow of hope and the rustling chorus of unfolding stories, transformed into a temple of possibilities. Outside, the familiar streets, bathed in the soft morning light, seemed to pulse with an energy that hinted at hidden realms waiting to be discovered. Emboldened by Mr. Emerson's wisdom and the newfound sense of possibility, Alex soon felt the stirring of destiny beckoning. The following morning, with a small, weathered bag in hand, containing a cherished journal, a beloved family photograph, and a faded map marked with both literal and metaphorical routes, Alex bid a heartfelt farewell to the town that had nurtured so many quiet dreams. Stepping into the unknown, each footfall was a deliberate punctuation, a measured pause that promised growth, resilience, and the unfolding of a grand narrative. The journey led Alex along winding paths that meandered through vast meadows and dense, whispering forests, each landscape echoing the silent cadence of nature's own resolve. Expansive fields of swaying golden grasses gave way to towering, rugged mountains whose peaks stood like steadfast guardians against the sky. Along these paths, Alex encountered fellow travelers, each with their own tales of struggle and hope, each carrying within them the embers of dreams waiting to be kindled. One crisp morning, as the sun ascended in a blaze of gentle gold and the cool mist of dawn enveloped the landscape, Alex found refuge beneath an ancient oak whose gnarled branches bore the weight of time. Here, in a quiet moment carved out by nature's deliberate pauses, Alex reflected on the challenges encountered thus far. The steady drumming of raindrops on leaves, the whisper of the wind through the branches, and the soft rustle of the forest floor all spoke of life's inherent rhythm, a rhythm that, even amid hardship, invited one to persist, to learn, and to ultimately rise. In that reflective silence, a realization emerged: adversity was not an adversary at all, but a wise, albeit stern, mentor. Each trial, the sudden downpour that had forced an unplanned pause, the unexpected detour that had diverted a familiar course, was a moment to gather strength, to recalibrate, and to emerge ever more determined. The obstacles were but commas in the grand sentence of life, each pause serving as a necessary interlude before the narrative continued with renewed vigor. As the journey unfolded, the landscapes transformed into living metaphors for the inner voyage. A meandering river, its surface shimmering with reflections of a hopeful sky, became a symbol of life's fluidity, ever-changing, unpredictable, yet beautiful in its persistence. The quiet majesty of a mountain range, with its peaks piercing the heavens, reminded Alex of the strength required to overcome obstacles that, at first glance, appeared insurmountable. Even the fleeting, ephemeral colors of a sunset, fading slowly into twilight, spoke of the impermanence of darkness and the promise of a new dawn. It was during one such moment, while walking along a narrow, winding path flanked by ancient pines and bathed in the soft glow of a setting sun, that Alex encountered another kindred soul. A young traveler, Myra, with eyes bright with determination and a smile that belied the weight of her own hidden struggles, joined Alex on the journey. Their meeting, as unexpected as it was serendipitous, felt like the gentle interlacing of two stories destined to merge, each enriching the other with shared experiences, collective wisdom, and the mutual understanding that the journey was not meant to be traversed alone. Together, Alex and Myra traversed landscapes that were as varied as the emotions they evoked, moments of serene beauty interspersed with trials that tested their resolve. They spoke often, their conversations a medley of soft-spoken dreams, deep introspection, and laughter that arose even in the midst of uncertainty. Myra, with her own tale of overcoming adversity, offered insights that resonated with Alex's innermost thoughts, reminding both that every setback was but a temporary pause, a necessary comma that allowed the full sentence of their lives to be written with purpose and passion. On one particularly radiant morning, when the horizon blushed with the tender light of dawn and the world itself seemed to hold its breath in anticipation, Alex and Myra arrived at the edge of a vast, ancient forest. The forest, shrouded in mystery and alive with the whispers of countless untold stories, stood as both a challenge and an invitation. Its towering trees and secret clearings promised revelations hidden within the interplay of light and shadow. With hearts full of cautious hope, and a shared determination to embrace the unknown, they stepped beneath the forest's verdant canopy, aware that each rustle of leaves and every ray of dappled sunlight might hold the key to a deeper understanding of themselves. Within the forest's hushed corridors, time seemed to lose its linearity. Days bled into nights, each moment marked by a quiet introspection that echoed the steady pulse of the heart. Beneath a canopy of stars, with the universe unfurling its celestial tapestry above, Alex and Myra found themselves pausing to reflect on the transformative power of their journey. They understood that every experience, even those that brought tears or moments of despair, served as a vital punctuation in the evolving narrative of their lives. In those silent interludes, the soul found space to heal, to gather strength, and to prepare for the next chapter of the unfolding adventure. As twilight gave way to the gentle glow of moonlight, Alex, with eyes lifted toward the heavens, made a silent vow. It was a vow to honor every step taken, every obstacle surmounted, and every quiet moment that had nurtured the spark of resilience. The vow was not a promise of immediate triumph, but rather an affirmation of faith in the process, the belief that each pause, each carefully placed comma in life's grand sentence, was essential for crafting a future defined not by the absence of hardship, but by the courage to rise above it. Thus, with hearts emboldened by hope and the steady cadence of their footsteps echoing the unspoken promise of tomorrow, Alex and Mira pressed onward. The road ahead, though shrouded in uncertainty and peppered with challenges, glowed with the soft light of promise, each twist and turn a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. In embracing the unknown, they discovered that the journey itself was the destination, a living narrative written in the language of perseverance, punctuated by moments of quiet introspection, and forever driven by the unyielding desire to transform struggle into triumph. Welcome everyone to the For Sleep channel. Sea of Memories. Forward, echoes of eternity. In the primordial mists of time, when the boundary between mortal and divine life was as thin as a whisper, there was an ocean unlike any other. This was the Sea of Memories. A living repository of every joy, sorrow, triumph, and loss that souls had ever experienced on earth. Its waters not only sparkled with sunlight, but also echoed with ancient voices and the soft glow of memories long gone. It is said that on quiet moonlit nights, if you listen closely, the gentle lapping of the waves will reveal whispers of forgotten lullabies and the peaceful rhythms of lives once lived. Legends passed down through countless generations tell of the sea's dual nature. It is both a place of refuge and a place of secrets. The raging waves carry the weight of history in every ripple. And beneath its surface, hidden memories stir in silent slumber. Some believe the Sea of Memory is the soul of the world, a mirror reflecting the eternal interplay of light and dark, creation and oblivion. For those who dare to search its depths, the sea offers both comfort and challenge, promising things that can heal a broken soul or unearth truths too deep for the mortal heart. In a time long lost to legend, when the first songs of creation echoed across the land and the stars were still learning to dance, the Sea of Memory is revered as a living testament to the passage of time. Its waves, imbued with the essence of every forgotten dream, whisper of intertwined destinies and secrets waiting to be awakened. And so, under the watchful eyes of the ancient gods and the silent witness of the heavens, the ocean became a beacon for souls yearning to reclaim what had been lost. Chapter 1: The Whisper of the Tides. On the rugged cliffs of a coastal village called Myra, where salt and wind tell tales older than memory, lives a young man named Arian. From his earliest days, Arian has felt an inexplicable pull toward the vast, mysterious sea that lies beyond the horizon. While the other villagers find comfort in the familiar rhythms of daily life, tending old boats, mending nets, and telling old tales, Arian's heart beats in time with the distant whisper of the tides. He is often found at the water's edge, looking out into the dark, endless expanse, as if the sea itself is beckoning him to discover its secrets. Arian's nights were filled with dreams as vivid as the constellations that twinkled overhead. In these visions, the ocean became a living tapestry, where each wave sparkled with hidden memories and each passing wind carried the voices of ancient pasts. He dreamed of a luminous figure rising from the waves, a creature of both ethereal beauty and sorrow, whose eyes contained the depths of countless human lives. Though these dreams left him with a lingering sadness, they also stirred a burning desire to understand the mystery that lay beneath the surface of the Sea of Memory. Every morning, as dawn broke and the sky was tinged with gold and lavender, Arian would climb the weathered steps of an ancient stone tower near the harbor. There, among the crumbling carvings and faded runes, he would spend hours in silent meditation, listening to the murmur of the sea and the whisper of the wind. The elders of Myra whisper of an ancient prophecy, that one day, a child of the tide will rise, guided by voices of the past, to unlock the secrets hidden within the deep, blue abyss. One cool autumn evening, as a gentle mist drifted in from the sea and shrouded the village in silver mist, Arian encountered an old sailor named Kian. His weathered face and eyes, as blue and deep as the abyss itself, bore the weight of many voyages. Sitting on a creaky wooden bench near the docks, Kian gazed out at the dark water, lost in thought. Arian, drawn by an unspoken intuition, approached him. "Good evening, sir," Arian began, his voice soft as if unwilling to disrupt the tide's nocturnal chant. "I sense that you too hear the whispers of the sea tonight." Kian's eyes sparkled with a mixture of mischief and melancholy. "Yes, young lady," he replied hoarsely. "The sea speaks many languages, some of sadness, some of joy. It carries memories as old as the stars. And sometimes, if you listen closely, it even calls your name." Arian's heart quickened at the old man's words. "My dreams. They are filled with images of." Mariner smiled knowingly, reaching into the folds of his tattered cloak. From within, he withdraws a small, intricately carved talisman, a pendant fashioned from driftwood and inlaid with a shimmering blue stone. "Take this," Kian said, pressing the pendant into Arian's hand. "It is said that those touched by the sea's sorrow and its hope are marked by fate. This talisman is a token of remembrance, a key to the secrets hidden within the tides." For a long moment, Arian held the talisman as if it were a fragile ember of destiny. The pendant warmed in his palm, and he could almost hear a faint pulse, like the beating of a heart, resonating with the distant rhythm of the ocean. Part 2, The Journey Begins. Chapter 2, Setting Sail. Arian set out from the familiar shores of Myra Luna, carrying only a small bag of supplies, the talisman given to him by an old sailor, and a burning desire to discover the secrets the sea whispered. The morning of his departure was shrouded in a gentle mist, as if the sky itself wanted to protect him from prying eyes. Every step he took along the weathered dock echoed with the promise of a fate long foretold. At the docks, he found himself boarding an old ship called the Evanescent Dream. Its wooden hull, scarred by countless voyages, creaked under the weight of history. The ship's captain, a seasoned and mysterious woman named Lizara, with amber eyes and a bearing as steady as the ocean currents, watched him with a knowing smile. "Not many dare follow the tide's call," Lizara said hoarsely as she secured Arian's place on the ship. "The sea is the keeper of both blessings and burdens. May you find the truth you seek in its depths." Her words resonated deeply with Arian. As the Evanescent Dream slowly began to leave Myra Luna, the shore faded into mist, and the vast ocean spread out before him like an ancient scroll. The rhythmic lapping of the waves against the hull echoed the whispers of ancient legends, a reminder that every ripple was steeped in memory. During the long hours of his first day at sea, Arian found solace in quiet contemplation. The wind whispered secrets in an ancient language, and the water danced with flickering rays of light and shadow. In these quiet, solitary moments, he recalled the luminous figure from his dream and the mariner's mysterious prophecy. It was as if the ocean itself were preparing him for the trials ahead, a journey not only across rough waters but also into the mazes of time and memory. As dusk fell on the second day, the sky was ablaze with purple and gold. The horizon, a straight line between sky and sea, shimmered with the promise of hidden wonders. Suddenly, the calm waters transformed. A vortex emerged from an unseen source, and the Evanescent Dream was swept into a violent, unexpected storm. Lizara's voice rang out over the howling wind. "Hold tight, and trust the rhythm of the sea." Her hands danced expertly on the rigging as the crew scrambled to secure the sails. Arian clutched the talisman, feeling it vibrate with a warmth that reflected the turbulent energy of the ocean. In that violent moment, he realized that the storm was no random act of nature, but a manifestation of the ancient will of the sea, testing those who dared to seek its secrets. After what seemed like an eternity in the whirlwind, calm returned as suddenly as it had disappeared. The moon rose high in the clear night sky, illuminating the battered ship and its resolute crew. Lizara, though weary, allowed herself to smile. The sea showed both its mercy and its power, she whispered. Remember this night, for it was your first lesson in the language of the tides. That same night, as Arian rested in his cramped bunk below deck, the lullaby of the ocean lulled him into a dream world alive with images. He found himself standing on a shore bathed in silver moonlight. Before him appeared a shining figure from his dream, her eyes glittering with sadness and timeless wisdom. In a soft but firm voice, she whispered, "Seek the Isle of Whispers, where the echoes of all past lives dwell. Only there will your true destiny be revealed." Waking as dawn broke, Arian's heart throbbed with renewed purpose. The mysterious message had ignited his mind with the image of the legendary island, a refuge of memories rumored to hold the secrets of a lost age. With firm resolve, he accepted that his journey was far from over. The path now lay ahead, through unknown waters and into realms where the L between past and present was as thin as a whisper. Chapter 3, The Isle of Whispers. The voyage toward the legendary Isle of Whispers was as arduous as it was surreal. Under Lizara's steady command, the evanescent dream navigated treacherous straits where swirling mists and deceptive currents seemed determined to hide the truth. Days bled into nights, and the ever-changing sky bore silent witness to their quest, its hues shifting from stormy grays to the soft luminescence of dawn. Throughout the journey, Arian became increasingly aware of the talisman's subtle vibrations, a rhythmic pulse that grew stronger as if guiding him toward an unseen beacon. The crew, seasoned by years at sea, exchanging changing glances when they saw the young seeker lost in introspection. They understood that the tides held more than mere water, they cradled memories and destinies, woven into the very fabric of existence. Hello everyone. I'm Jams. Welcome to For Sleep channel. Today we meet again and listen to the story together. The Moonlit Veil. A gentle fairy tale in several parts. Part 1, Chapters 1 to 2. Chapter 1, A Soft Sunrise in Highvale. At the edge of a wide, rolling plain, there stood a small village named Highvale. It was known for its early morning mists that drifted gently through the valley, creating a pale golden haze whenever the sun began its daily ascent. People in Highvale rose before dawn, not out of any obligation or chore, but because they loved to greet the sunlight and watch as it slowly unveiled the green fields, the wild flowers, and the distant hills. Each sunrise was like a quiet promise of warmth and renewal. In one cozy cottage near the outskirts of Highvale lived a young woman named Evangeline. She was gentle in manner and voice, her every word filled with kindness. Each morning, she would wrap herself in a soft shawl and stand by her window, inhaling the fresh morning air. Beyond her garden fence, dew sparkled on the blades of grass, and the scent of wild lavender drifted in through the open window. On this particular morning, Evangeline felt an unusual stirring in her heart. She couldn't quite place it, an eagerness, perhaps, or a subtle tingle of anticipation. She brushed her hair carefully, made herself a cup of chamomile tea, and stepped outside to watch the sunrise in all its gentle glory. The sky was a palette of soft pinks, lilacs, and pale oranges that blended seamlessly into one another. Her garden, a labor of love she had tended for many years, glistened with dew. She ran her fingertips across the leaves of her rosemary bush and breathed in its soothing scent. A light breeze carried the sweet perfume of honeysuckle from the trellis by her door. It was a moment of serene beauty, and Evangeline smiled to herself, sensing that the day held some unspoken promise. Highvale, at this early hour, was just beginning to stir. She could see Mrs. Winslow, the neighbor who baked sweet bread each morning, stoking her oven fire. A gentle stream of smoke drifted from her chimney, and the faint aroma of yeast and sugar teased the senses. A little farther down the lane, Old Man Rowan was leading his two placid donkeys to graze by the meadow. Their soft braying punctuated the hush of dawn. Evangeline greeted them all with a nod or a wave. Though she was shy, she carried warmth in her heart that made people around her feel at ease. She felt grateful for the calm and unhurried life that Highvale offered, while other villages bustled with trade and urgent errands. Highvale's pace was steady and kind, as though everyone had silently agreed that life was more about gentle progress than constant hurry. Yet, as she lingered in her garden, that subtle tingle of anticipation grew more pronounced. She felt it in the back of her mind, like the faint glow of a distant lantern. Something was coming, something that might nudge her beyond the familiar edges of her routine. She closed her eyes for a moment and let the warmth of the sunrise wash over her. The breeze rustled the leaves of the willow tree by the creek. The hush felt like a whisper of encouragement, telling her that change, if it came, could be gentle and good. When she opened her eyes, Evangeline decided she would welcome the day with an open heart. If something new was on its way, she would face it as she did everything else, with kindness, curiosity, and a quiet confidence. She finished her tea, then went inside to tidy her small cottage. Her home was modest, just a single-story building with a thatched roof, but it was filled with her personal touches. Bundles of dried herbs hung from the beams. Crocheted blankets draped over chairs. And shelves held her favorite books on plants, nature, and tales of far-off lands. As she worked, she hummed a lullaby her mother had once sung to her. Something soft and lilting. The morning light now shone through the windows, dancing across the wooden floor. A sweet calmness filled the air. It was as though the day itself was in no rush, allowing each moment to stretch and breathe. By the time she finished sweeping, she noticed that the tingle within her heart had grown softer but was still present, like a gentle nudge that refused to be ignored. She placed the broom aside and glanced out the window again. There, on the small path leading to her cottage, stood a stranger, cloaked in a travel-worn cape. The stranger held a small satchel. He seemed hesitant, as if unsure whether to knock on her door or continue on. Evangeline's curiosity sparked. Highvale rarely saw strangers, especially not this early in the day. Leaving her chores behind, she went to the door and stepped out onto her little porch. The stranger looked up at her, and for a moment, his tired eyes softened in relief. He lifted a hand in a timid wave, and she smiled gently. "Good morning," she greeted, her voice kind but cautious. "Can I help you?" The stranger, who appeared to be in his early 20s, nodded. "I apologize for disturbing you," he said quietly, "but I've traveled all night, and your cottage was the first sign of warmth I've seen. My name is Jonas. I wonder if you could spare a bit of water or perhaps some tea. I'm afraid I'm quite weary." Evangeline immediately invited him inside. The old floorboards creaked softly under their feet as she guided him to a chair near the hearth. She busied herself preparing a pot of soothing chamomile tea, adding a hint of honey for sweetness. As she worked, Jonas looked around, taking in the dried herbs and the neatly arranged kitchen utensils. "Thank you," he said at length. "I'm a traveling minstrel. Or at least I hope to be. I've been wandering from town to town. But I heard whispers that there's a special place beyond the hills, a place where the moonlight shines brighter than anywhere else. And people's dreams take on a life of their own." Evangeline set a steaming mug of tea before him, her eyes shining with interest. "You must mean the moonlit vale," she replied softly. "I've heard tales of it from my grandmother. They say it's a valley hidden deep in the mountains, where the moon's glow is so brilliant it can reveal truths hidden in the heart." Jonas nodded eagerly. "That's the one. I've been following vague directions and rumors for weeks now. I'm sure I must be close, but I'm not quite certain how to find it. Some say you can only reach it if your heart is open and you're meant to see it." At this, Evangeline felt that tingle of anticipation again. She knew little about the moonlit vale, only that it was the subject of old stories and lullabies. She had never given much thought to actually searching for it. Yet the mention of it now stirred her imagination. Perhaps it was the reason she had felt so restless that morning. "I wish I knew how to guide you," she said gently, "but I only know the legends. Still, if you're in need of rest, you're welcome to stay here for a while. Highvale is a peaceful place, and I'm sure you'll find it comfortable enough to regain your strength." Jonas offered a grateful smile, sipping the tea that warmed him from the inside out. Outside, the morning sun had fully risen, bathing the little cottage in a soft, radiant light. Evangeline felt a subtle shift in the air, as if fate itself had just entered her home and made itself comfortable by the hearth. She did not realize it yet, but this was the beginning of a gentle journey that would lead her beyond Highvale's familiar fields. The path she would walk, guided by curiosity and kindness, would unveil not only the secrets of the moonlit vale but also the depths of her own heart. And for now, she was content simply to show hospitality to a weary traveler, unaware of how closely her destiny was intertwined with his. Chapter 2, Whispers of the Past. After sharing a simple breakfast of fresh bread and honey, Evangeline encouraged Jonas to rest in the spare room, which was hardly more than a small alcove with a wooden bed and a patchwork quilt. The young minstrel's exhaustion was evident in his heavy eyes. He murmured thanks before falling into a deep, untroubled sleep, lulled by the gentle hush of the cottage. While Jonas slept, Evangeline stepped outside to tend her garden. She had a habit of talking to her plants, though she would have been shy to admit it to anyone but her closest friends. She believed each living thing responded to warmth and attention. As she moved among the neat rows of herbs and flowers, her soft humming filled the morning air. She couldn't stop thinking about the moonlit vale. Her grandmother had often told her stories of a hidden valley that lay in the northern mountains, a place where moonbeams fell so thickly they seemed to form a silver mist across the ground. According to legend, travelers who entered the vale under the full moon would see visions of their deepest hopes, fears, and desires. Some found it enchanting, others found it unsettling, but all who returned spoke of its profound beauty and mystery. Evangeline remembered one story in particular, the tale of Celine, a young maiden who had journeyed to the moonlit vale to cure her ailing mother. It was said that Celine's devotion lit a lantern in her heart, guiding her through forests and over rocky crags until she reached the valley. There, under the silvery moonlight, she found a rare flower whose petals glowed with healing magic. The story ended happily, with Celine returning home just in time to save her mother's life. Ever since childhood, Evangeline had thought of that story as a comforting bedtime tale, never suspecting the moonlit vale might be a real place. But Jonas believed it was real, enough to wander from town to town in search of it. Evangeline found herself wondering what he hoped to find there. Was it merely a minstrel's curiosity? Or did he seek something deeper? She tried to push these questions aside, focusing on the tasks at hand. The sun climbed higher in the sky, its warmth coaxing the flowers to open wide. By midday, Jonas awoke. Evangeline was sitting on her porch, stringing dried lavender into small bundles. She looked up as he approached, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "How did you sleep?" she asked, kindly, offering him a seat on the wooden bench beside her. "Like a stone?" he replied with a half-smile. "I can't remember the last time I slept in a bed that comfortable." He glanced at the bundles of lavender, inhaling their sweet, soothing scent. "Thank you for your hospitality. I feel like I should repay you somehow." She shook her head. "You're my guest. Besides, Highvale folk have a tradition of welcoming travelers with open arms. We believe that kindness extended is kindness returned." Jonas looked at her with quiet admiration. He sat for a moment, letting the calm of the day settle around him. Eventually, he spoke. I know it might sound strange, but I feel like my journey has led me here for a reason. Not just to rest, but maybe to learn something. I can't quite put it into words. Evangeline offered him a warm smile. I understand. Sometimes life guides us in ways we don't fully grasp until later. She paused. Then added, I was thinking about the moonlit veil. I only know the stories my grandmother told me. She used to mention a hidden path through the mountains, guarded by an ancient oak tree that stands by a waterfall. But I've never traveled that far myself. A spark lit in Jonas's eyes. A hidden path and an oak tree by a waterfall. He repeated, as if memorizing each word. That's more than I had before. Maybe if I can find someone who knows the mountains well, they can help me locate that oak tree. Evangeline nodded, her mind already turning. Marisol, an old friend of my family, lives near the foot of the mountains. She's a herbalist and has wandered those trails for many years. She might know more. The two of them exchanged a look, a shared sense of excitement fluttering between them. Though Jonas was the one on a quest, Evangeline couldn't deny the small tug at her own heart. She wanted to see if the stories were true. Perhaps she would never have ventured beyond Highvale on her own. But Jonas's arrival felt like a sign. I could take you there, she said quietly, almost surprising herself with her own words. If you'd like the company. That is. It's a few days' journey to Marisol's cottage. But I know the roads. Jonas's face brightened, and he nodded. I'd be grateful for your guidance. Traveling alone can be lonely, and two sets of eyes are better than one for finding hidden paths. And so, the seed of a new plan was planted. They would set off the next morning, heading north along the winding roads that led toward the mountains. Evangeline felt a gentle thrill in her chest, a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. She had never undertaken such a journey before, but something told her that she was meant to take this step. That afternoon, they prepared provisions for the trip. Jonas insisted on helping, and under Evangeline's patient guidance, he learned to bake simple travel biscuits with oats and honey. She also packed small pouches of herbs that could be steeped into tea for energy or comfort. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm glow over Highvale, the two sat down to a modest supper of vegetable stew and fresh bread. When night fell, Evangeline showed Jonas the small attic where he could sleep, as she would keep the spare room for storing supplies for the journey. A single window in the attic revealed a clear sky sprinkled with stars. Jonas stood there for a moment, gazing out into the silent beauty of the night. I wonder, he said softly, what the moonlight will look like in that valley, if we're fortunate enough to find it. Evangeline, who stood behind him, felt her heart stir again. I suppose we'll find out, she whispered. Together. They bid each other good night. Evangeline went to her own bed. But sleep did not come easily. Thoughts of the upcoming journey swirled in her mind. She imagined towering mountains, hidden waterfalls, and an ancient oak with twisting branches that reached for the sky. She pictured the moonlit veil shimmering with silver light. The very idea both soothed and excited her. Eventually, she drifted off, lulled by the distant sound of crickets and the soft rustle of the wind through the trees. In her dreams, she stood in a meadow beneath a glowing moon, her reflection shining in a pool of still water. A gentle voice echoed around her, saying, "Kindness and courage shall guide you. Follow the path of your heart." When morning arrived, Evangeline rose with a sense of calm determination. She donned a simple travel dress and a sturdy pair of boots. Jonas was already awake, carefully tuning a small lute he carried in his satchel. Together, they shared a quick breakfast, then stepped out into the early light of dawn. Highvale seemed to watch them fondly as they passed through its humble streets. Mrs. Winslow waved from her bakery, and Old Man Rowan tipped his hat. A few curious children trailed after them for a short while, giggling and whispering about the stranger with the lute and the kind lady who was brave enough to leave the village. The road north stretched before them, bordered by wildflowers and tall grass that swayed in the breeze. The sky was a soft blue, tinged with the pale gold of the rising sun. Evangeline looked over at Jonas, who returned her gaze with a grateful nod. Neither spoke, but both felt a gentle excitement thrumming through the morning air. With each step they took away from Highvale, the world seemed to open up. Hills rose and fell like gentle waves on an endless green ocean, and the mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks brushed with wisps of white cloud. A sense of quiet companionship settled between the two travelers, as though they had known each other longer than just a single day. And so began their journey, a journey born from curiosity and guided by hope. Though neither could predict the trials and wonders they would encounter, they walked forward with open hearts, ready to discover not only the moonlit vale, but also the quiet truths that lay within themselves. The first stage of their adventure had begun, and the hush of the road invited them onward, promising that whatever they found would be woven with gentle magic and a warmth that only the kindest of hearts could truly perceive.